Hey everybody, the Linkzilla is back here. Time for another Kaijerica update. Now, when we last left off, I was in the process of making my Allosaurus pen over at Jurassic Park. And don't get me wrong, it's not the real Jurassic Park, it's just the Jurassic section of the dinosaur park in my Kaijerica world. Just for those of you who haven't been keeping up, or for those of you who are, well, not paying attention. So, as you can see here, I have my Allosaurus eggs, and I just gotta say that I really like it. Get out of the way, you blacksmith! Move it! Move! For those of you who are, for those of you who have been paying attention, every single dinosaur egg from the Jurassic period that I've hatched has come out perfectly 50-50. I have gotten one male and one female per egg, and I'm going to want to keep that going, because now I have all of the remaining Jurassic dinosaur eggs up and ready to go, so let's see if I can keep that up. But I have a feeling that now that I've mentioned it, I've basically fucked it up for myself. So, let's go see. First thing I'm going to show you is this is the Allosaurus pen, completed. Yeah, it's a nice one, too. It's a double wide. Yeah, the T-Rex basically has a pretty big pen, but it's not a nice pen. It's just basically a big box that he can run around in. This actually looks like it's an environment, really, and it has a nice Guado lagoon there. Yep, I'm keeping the food in the center next to the bubbles because the Allosaurus is going to be a pretty big and powerful animal, and I don't want it reaching through the glass to try and eat someone that might happen to be walking by. So, also, keeping it close to the bubbles, I've noticed that the animals tend to congregate wherever the food is. Why not? So, I figured that keeping it close to the food will also basically get it interested in the bubbles, that the bubbles will make it happy. So, anyways, that's basically the update on that. Let's go see the rest of the park. Ooh, let's see what we got over here. Yep, here are the Brachios, and they are big. Now, for a while there, I thought that they had reached full size and were the biggest that they were going to get, but as it turns out, I was wrong. Let's look at them here. This one is only 13 days old. Yep, she's only 13 days old, and she's still not fully grown. They reach full adult size after 20 days, so yeah, these things have got a lot of growing to do, and they're already so huge. I mean, they were still so much bigger than me when they first hatched, but just look at this thing. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yep, this is basically the biggest animal in the mod. Biggest herbivore, biggest animal in general, well, besides from the Godzilla monsters, but in this particular mod, Fossil Archaeology, this thing is the biggest. It's even bigger than the Spinosaurus, basically from height and weight. So, whew. Now let's go check on the other dinosaurs down there in the Dilophosaurus pen. Wow, man, they got big. They are both fully grown. They're fully grown after 8 days. They finally started producing eggs, so basically if one of them happens to die or gets injured, I basically am fully prepared to deal with that. Here we have my Dryosaurs, and here's what I like. Ooh, they got an egg. Gotta get down there and get it. Gotta get that egg. Gotta get that egg. Get egg. Here's what I like about the Dryosaurs, is that when they both hatched, they were pretty much both the same color, but as they matured and got older, one of them changed to a different color to distinguish which one was which. So that's just perfect for someone like me. Yep, the green one is the male, and the brown one is the female, and I got their egg. Basically speaking, it's at this point when you basically realize that once you pretty much have 2 of each animal and they're breeding, you basically don't have to use a cultivator vat anymore. If you ever need to replace them, well, there it is. Life, finds a way. As you can see, they've produced a lot of eggs. They reached full size much quicker than the Dilophosaurs did. Anyway, let's see if the Dilos have dropped anything for me. Hey guys, if you're wondering, in the Jurassic Park novel, this is basically about the size that Nedry would have seen the Dilophosaur in the novel. In the book, it's pretty small, and it's pretty much never been explained if it was just a juvenile or if that's, or if the genetic defects in the dinosaurs' makeup from Jurassic Park caused it to stop growing at a certain size, but basically speaking, I think that the novel is pretty much more tense and much more spooky and disturbing. It's a scary part of the book than it was in the novel, because basically Nedry is realizing that his plan has failed. He's got to get back to the control room, undo everything that he did, get the park back online. He's got to get the phones working, try to contact Dodgson, and try to set up another drop for the next night. Don't know if the embryos would even last that long, so basically he starts making his way back toward his Jeep when he hears a hooting call. At first he thought it was an owl, but then he realized that it didn't really sound like an owl. And then he starts to hear crashing noises through the foliage, something coming towards him. A big dinosaur. Get out of here! So he starts running back toward the car, and he hears that the dinosaur is coming close alongside him. His car is parked on the other side of a concrete barrier that he's able to walk around, so he's walking around back toward the driver's seat of his car. He looks back toward the barrier at one last time, and the dinosaur is just standing there. The Dilophosaurus is already there, and it's stopped, and it's just staring at him, and it's kind of creepy. And he didn't take the tour, so he doesn't know what kind of dinosaur he's dealing with. The two crests on its face, and it just sort of stands there, and then it eventually snaps its head at him, and he feels something smack him on the shirt. The dinosaur spit at him, so he thinks that it was weird and spooky, so he once again tries to move for the driver's seat of his car and whatnot, and then suddenly he gets smacked in the face when the dinosaur spits in his eyes, and at that point it's basically all over, because now he's blinded. He can't see anything, and he basically cannot get away. The dinosaur starts coming closer to him. He's trying to fend off the attack by waving his arms, making himself up to be real big, but all of the Dilophosaur just slices him open, and he falls to the ground, his intestines falling out, and then the dinosaur bites down on the side of his head, and that's the end of Nedry. That's what I love about third-person omniscient stories, that basically the viewpoint of the story allows you to read in detail, pretty much paint a picture of the gruesome details of a person's death. So, yeah, you gotta love it. Anyway, these are the Dilophosaurs, and so now it's time for us to move on. Now that I've got all of my eggs here, time to hatch them. Ooh, I just basically realized that. Never mind. If you guys are wondering why I have the maps, well, these maps are maps of the park. There's Cretaceous Park over there. My little white dot is basically on the edge of the map where the Spinosaurus enclosure goes. There's the two raptor pens, the lagoon where I'm keeping Nessie. And over there's the Sarcosuchus pit. Don't have the T-Rex yet, so I'm going to have to make a third map, and I'm basically going to have to make a third park, because I still have all the Ice Age animals to do, and I guess that's a good thing why that mountain is up there, huh? Anyway, the other map is Jurassic Park. Yep, and as you can see, it's similar but different. It follows along the edge of the river, and there I am up in the upper right corner. Alright, here we go. Stegosaurus, one of the most famous and well-known dinosaurs in all of popular media. Stegosaurus. As I mentioned back in one of the earlier videos, Stegosaurus was supposed to have a role in Jurassic Park. The scene where they're tending to a sick dinosaur, it was supposed to be a Stegosaurus, but Spielberg changed it to a Triceratops because Triceratops was his favorite dinosaur and he wanted to include it in the movie more. There was supposed to be a scene where Lex and Tim ride around on a baby Triceratops, but they cut that from the film. It was too complicated and too dangerous, really. My back itches. Basically, if I sound out of breath, it's that before I had a class before this, before making this video. It's still pretty early in the morning. Now it's noon. So basically, I went walking around once class was over. I picked up some breakfast and walked back to my apartment. So yeah, I'm basically pretty tired. I could realistically take a nap, but I don't want to take a nap because I want to have as much free time in between my classes to do what I want. And even though I like napping really is a waste of time, so you really should do it sparsely. Yeah, this is what you guys came to hear. You basically came to listen to some self-important nobody playing Minecraft and listening and whistling into the microphone. You came here to listen to this guy whistle and not talk about Minecraft, the thing that you basically are watching him talk about. And he's not even talking about dinosaurs anymore. I mean, I don't know. Maybe talking about Jurassic Park is more interesting. Yep, it certainly is. I literally spent my entire summer basically devoted to Jurassic Park. I don't know, summer is just a time for Jurassic Park for me. In fact, there was like one summer where I literally did nothing except watch Jurassic Park, and that's kind of like what I did this summer, only I did a whole lot more. Aha! There, here they come. Anyways, so I find it ironic because my sister got married the day before the anniversary of Jurassic Park, so I'm up there, I'm a groomsman, I'm in my tuxedo, me and the bridesmaid, we separate, we go to our separate places, and right before my dad comes in and starts walking my sister down the aisle, the music that's playing for the ceremony begins to change. It's the Jurassic Park theme. Yep, my sister played the Jurassic Park theme in place of her wedding march. She is marching down the aisle to the Jurassic Park theme, and here's what I love, is that she timed it just right to where she and my dad started walking down the aisle as the music reached the crescendo. You guys know what part I'm talking about. She starts walking. And here I'm trying both not to laugh and not to cry and just not to just stare daggers at her, because after the ceremony is over, I reminded her that you told me that it wasn't going to make me cry. You knew, you little minx, you knew that this was going to do this to me, so we basically had a good laugh about that, and that's why I had to give her so many jokes about Jurassic Park. And I mean, this really was the summer of Jurassic Park in my mind. I'm so glad that Jurassic World revitalized the series in a good way for once, and everybody's excited for it again, and I'm just really happy. And I did a lot of Jurassic Park stuff this summer. I mean, I watched Jurassic Park God knows how many times. I watched Jurassic World God knows how many times. I'm pretty sure that I only watched The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 once, because, let's face it, fuck those movies. I liked The Lost World once upon a time, and I still think that it's an enjoyable movie. Jurassic Park 3, not so much. Jurassic Park 3 just has absolutely no reason to exist and be the way that it is, so... Oh, here we go. Come on, give me a female. Anyways, so the reason that I brought up this whole wedding story is that my dad is kind of an idiot, and basically we're finally back to a status quo, and basically speaking, he's sitting at the table during the reception with my sister, with my brother-in-law's family, and here's something that you gotta know about my dad. My dad was basically kind of one of those obnoxious people that say that anything different is bad, everyone else outside of your culture is dumber than you are, and basically they're bad and they should feel bad about it. So, and he's the kind of person that would openly tell this to other people of those cultures. Yeah, let's just say that my dad is the kind of person that if he's in the wrong neighborhood, he's afraid of getting shot. So, but basically speaking, is that my dad, he recently left for Mexico, and he's been living down there since 2014, and now it's basically gotten to the point where my dad used to hate Mexicans. I'm going to say this fervently. He hated Mexico. He hated living in Mexico. He hated Mexicans. He basically said a whole bunch of nasty things about them, that they were lazy, that they were inconsiderate, that they were just wrong, especially because he doesn't like Catholics. He was one of those religious people who thinks that their completely indistinguishable set of nonsense belief systems are somehow better than someone else's completely non-distinguishable, ridiculous belief systems, and that he should have the right to flaunt his imagined superiority to them. So, basically speaking, he didn't like them because they were Catholics. His parents, they lived down in Mexico. Well, basically, that's a long story, but they've been living in Texas ever since, and I feel like they think they're better than Mexicans are, that they're not really Mexicans, that they're actually American white people, even though my grandmother isn't white. And I wouldn't even call my grandfather white. He looks white, but he's not white. So, but basically speaking, my father, now that he's been living down in Mexico for 3 years, his attitude has completely changed to where he acts like someone, not from Mexico necessarily, but more like someone from Spain. I mean, how is it that is this entire video going to be about me trying to hatch this damn Stegosaur and me trying to tell you a story about my dad? Anyways, now he's got basically acts like the attitude that the Americans are wrong. And it's like, Dad, you spent 40 years of your life living in the United States of America. You know how Americans act. You yourself are an American. You're not in Mexico anymore. Act like an American, goddammit. And so, basically, he acts like that kind of Spanish European mindset to where they basically drift about with their heads airily in the clouds and empty skulls, basically looking down their nose at pretty much everybody. So, my brother-in-law's family, they were mostly farmers. They're a farming family of sorts, so they basically believe in hard work, and they're Southern people, but they're the right kind of Southern people. They're not the Southern people that basically go around brandishing Confederate flags and preaching white supremacy. No, they're the kind of people that basically believe in hard work, hospitality, and a sense of pride. And they also like their guns. I can give them that. I don't necessarily like guns, but I don't dislike them either. I'm more or less completely indifferent to guns. In a video game, I can like guns, but in real life, guns are meh to me in real life. So maybe it's because we don't nearly have anything as impressive as anything from a video game yet, so nothing better than a nice cold product name and description withheld. But here we come. So, what the? Quick, get out of here, you idiot! If this thing doesn't hatch because of you, I swear to God. I don't even believe in God. You see, it's not hatching because it can't hatch. Alright, as you can see, the male is clearly bigger because I'm 1 day late. And it's a female! Yes! So, let's pretend like none of this ever happened. Let's rewrite history and just beef it up. A little catch up there, alright? This one is 1 day old. This one is 1 day old. Okay, so I got my male and my female Stegosaurs. Alright, so the point of the story is, basically, my brother-in-law and his family, they like wearing their trucker hats and whatnot, and there's a certain word that most ignorant people would use to describe my brother-in-law's family that really doesn't apply to them at all, because my brother-in-law is one of the smartest guys I've ever met. I mean, I don't agree with him politically 100%, but this guy can do shit with a computer that honestly I didn't think was even possible. And so, basically, like, I respect his intelligence. He is a very intelligent guy. This derogatory statement that most people use to describe people like him is that it's derogatory because it implies stupidity and whatnot. So, but basically, my brother-in-law is just a really smart guy who happens to like wearing a hat and and he owns a truck. But that does not necessarily make him a redneck. So my father was sitting around at the table his with his daughter's in-laws, the entire family, and just starts calling them rednecks. And he's saying it like just so casually. It's like, hey, you're a redneck. And everyone in my brother-in-law's family just quietly stared at him. My sisters and I are just smacking our palms into our faces right now. It's like, we are so sorry for him. I mean, we're not sorry for him, we apologize for him. So, because my dad, he just does not know when to keep his mouth shut. And unbelievable, I have a male and a female there, and the one thing that they don't want to do is each other. Let me go check on the Brachios. It should be, what, 16 by now? Whoa! Something like this could fit through that door, too. Well, let's see. The female is 15 years old. Oh, time for a quinceañera! Alright, let's go back to camp, because I need a lot of meat. Because we all know what two animals are coming up next. So, here we have a herbivore pen that I've just reconfigured to be suited for carnivores. I mean, this is a pretty wide open space, and here's where our Ceratosauruses are going. For those of you who don't remember, the Ceratosaurus is basically the cute dinosaur from Jurassic Park 3 that had red skin and kind of dark stripes along its body. It has the one horn on its snout, and it's in the scene where they find the phone in the piles of Spinosaurus shit, and I guarantee that some of you who haven't watched Jurassic Park 3 in a long while, you probably don't even remember what I'm talking about. So, they get the phone out of the piles of shit, this thing comes along, it sniffs them, it's like, ew, these people smell like shit. Unbelievable. I made that same mistake twice. I almost said taste instead of smell. Yeah, that smells like shit. But basically, he just kind of buggers off, and I don't think it's basically because they smelled bad because of the shit, but also because that thing knows that the shit came out of a Spinosaurus, so it basically smells like a Spinosaurus. Since the Spinosaurus is around here, it's not going to be a good time for Ceratos. That's ultimately one thing about the world that Jurassic Park kind of creates, because I ultimately think that it's inherently unstable because you have Cretaceous animals mixing and mingling with Jurassic animals. Those are two separate species, multiple separate species from two different geological eras separated by almost 100 million years. So, those animals are not going to seamlessly coexist with each other. If anything, the carnivores from the Cretaceous period should utterly dominate anything that comes from the Jurassic period. I mean, of sorts, maybe the herbivores from the Cretaceous period would willingly coexist with the herbivores from the Jurassic, because herbivores don't go around hassling each other. Herbivores kind of like, they have a live and let live policy, except for members of their own species, because then, if one of them eyes the female that they're currently eyeing for, then they're going to have to butt heads with each other, or lock horns, or basically present their hindquarters. And it's dark. It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it! Man, I love the Blues Brothers. It has been a while since I've watched the Blues Brothers, but honestly, the Blues Brothers is kind of a movie that's hard for me to get through nowadays. Mainly because I feel like my perspective as a person has somewhat changed a lot. Like, it basically, I'm a lot different than how I was just a few years ago. Basically, I'm a kind of guy that values honesty a little bit more than I should. That basically, I'm the kind of guy that doesn't go around basically being a jerk for no reason. I basically, if I'm gonna be a jerk, I'm gonna have a good reason for being a jerk. But, basically, like, especially my political views on religion, that they certainly have changed. Watch how both of these end up being a boy. And so, ultimately speaking, when I watch a movie about two guys who are on a mission from God, oop, we got one, and it's male and a female. Hey, I'm back to it. So, awesome. Male, female, aggressive expansion. And here's something that I should do for every single animal. I should read everything out here and let you guys read it. So, but I'm going to do that in the next video. I just want to finish my last rant about the Blues Brothers in the 3 minutes that I have left. And it's like, basically the whole mission from God stuff. That this is all just a part of God's divine plan. All the laws that they break, all the crimes they commit, all to save an orphanage that happens to be run by the Catholic Church and whatnot. So, but basically speaking, it sort of goes to show that, ultimately speaking, even though their intentions are good, they still get punished for it. It's that, basically, like one of the videos on a YouTube atheist that I kind of watch nowadays, he basically said that those people who usually go on a mission from God, it usually ends badly for them. And that's basically, I feel like he had Blues Brothers in mind when he said that, because they end up going to jail, and of course, Blues Brothers 2000 had to happen, basically showing that literally everything that they did from the Blues Brothers 1 was completely pointless because the church closed down the orphanage anyway. And now the Penguin is selling cars. But anyways, that's all the time that we have for this video. We got our Stegosaurs and our Ceratosaurs, and now we have all of the next video to play around with our Allosaurus. So, I will see you guys in the next video. Once again, I'm the Linkzilla. My producer, as always, is GanonGhidorah. Let's give a big hand for him. Oh, he's flipping us off. This is what you do with people who applaud you, Ganon. Anyways, we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.